Stories in store for you, but first let's check the highlights.
Elgeyo Marakwet County are the verge of a dusk till dawn curfew to curb insecurity. Ensure a smooth play out in the forthcoming polls, Koome tells the IEBC. And Kenyatta University aerospace engineering students interact with the industry players today. And grief as assistant chief is found dead in Kisii County, Rioma sublocation.
Well, welcome to the broadcast. My name is Daphne Orina and I'm in the company of Vivian Wangeshi, who's our sign language interpreter for the night. We start off with Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i, who has disclosed that the government is considering imposing a dusk to dawn curfew in Elgeyo Marakwet County. The CS said that this is following a meeting with the regional and national security officials to review the security situation in the country. Listening.
Interior CS Fred Matiang'i today held an early morning meeting with top security officials with the sorry state of the security in Elgeyo Marakwet at the top of the agenda. The county has been battling bandit attacks, with the latest attack leading to the death of 4 people, among them 3 children.
We have looked at the incident reports that we have in each region across the country, because each of the regional security teams have presented the incident reports they have and any assessments they have done of areas where we need to step up deployment.
Local leaders, led by the area Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, had earlier accused the government of putting little effort to settle the problem. Today, CS Matiang'i assured the area residents that the government will conduct an operation that will weed out what he termed as criminal elements.
Sisi tunataka kusikia sauti ya rais mwenyewe na sauti ya serikali kulingana kukomesha ile maafa inaendelea hapa Kerio Valley.
The rising insecurity has had far-reaching impacts on the lives of the locals, especially in Tot, where schools have been shut down. NAT chairman Elgeyo Marakwet branch Cheberi John says the school closures have been necessitated by the need to protect teachers and students from bandit attacks in the schools.
Ukiwa ile na kifaa ya kuzuia risasi, enda shule. Tunataka wajue serikali, sababu tulipeana ultimatum ya kutosha. Jana watoto wameuawa bure. Mita 100 kutoka kambi ya polisi, mita 200 kutoka kambi ya JSU.
We are beginning to draw 2 critical exercises that we want to do. 1, reorganize deployment in that area, and 2, we are contemplating a declaration subject to clearance by the National Security Council. We are contemplating a declaration of a curfew in parts of that area, so that we can have an intensified operation such as we have in Marsabit.
CS Matiang'i also expressed optimism about the preparedness of the security apparatus to provide an enabling environment for a free, fair and credible general election in August.
Large ready, and we are going to support the IEBC to conduct the general elections. And I've said this every time I've had the opportunity, that it is not us who conduct the elections. Our role is we play a supportive role to the IEBC. And
others who attended the meeting were Interior PS Karanja Kibicho, Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutiambai, and the Director of Criminal Investigations George Kinoti. Dennis Omondi, KUTV.
Thank you, Omondi. Away from that, Chief Justice Martha Koome has urged the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) to ensure smooth play out in the forthcoming polls. And as Emmanuel Kutosi now reports, the head of the third arm of government, highlighted the technological quandary that saw the 2017 poll results nullified.
It is a team obligated to midwife the next lot of leaders in the country through a justly constituted electoral process. It's none other than the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC), led by its chair Wafula Chebukati, who has been on a busy schedule of assessing aspirants, currently presidential ones, for the August 9th general polls. The exercise, one of national significance, has not only been furnished by the National Treasury, but also various Kenyans and leaders alike, forwarding their counsel to the referee body. And today, Lady Justice Martha Koome was on course, calling on the Commission to task in ensuring a smooth exercise is experienced by Kenyans.
More specifically, IEBC was faulted for failure to ensure that the process of transmission and declaration of results of the presidential election was verifiable as stipulated by the Constitution.
CJ Koome particularly picked out the live electoral transmission from various polling centers.
More importantly, that IEBC would explain to Kenyans how they have been able to look into those issues that were identified by the Supreme Court as difficult.
It is a matter that has been highlighted by various political leaders, with the Deputy President William Ruto being the latest candidate to raise concerns with the Commission.
We have confidence in the IEBC having the capacity to deliver this election if they are not interfered with.
Hawa watu ambayo wanasimamia mambo ya uchaguzi ambayo wanaitwa IEBC na mkubwa yao ambaye anaitwa Chebukati, si mnamjua? Mimi nataka kuambia Chebukati asicheze na sisi.
The IEBC faces a stringent task in the August 2022 run to avoid a repeat of the shortcomings of the last general polls in 2017 that were nullified by the Supreme Court, live transmission of results weighing heavily on that eventuality. Emmanuel Kutosi, KUTV.
Thank you, Kutosi, for that report. Women professionals in business through the Kenya Private Sector Alliance this morning had an opportunity to engage with Honorable Martha Karua, who's also the running mate for the Azimio One Kenya Coalition, in the run-up to the general elections to be held on the 9th of August this year. The women expressed gratitude for having one of their own join the race for the second highest office in the land.
Through a breakfast forum hosted by Kenya Private Sector Alliance Foundation KEPSA, a platform launched in 2015 to champion the socio-economic transformation of Kenya through a multi-stakeholder sustainable approach, the participants had an opportunity to express their gratitude to be recognized as valuable players in decision-making by having one of their own nominated to occupy the second highest table in the country.
And I think that is what we are looking for. Good leadership. You are here as CEOs, you are here as women in business, you can't succeed if there isn't uongozi bora, good leadership. Yeah, so what we must be focused on is what type of leadership will secure our country, will secure the business environment. I want to add to you the definition of politics. It's the art of living. Politics will determine your social, your political, your economic environment.
Ms. Flora Mutahi, the chairperson of KEPSA, commended the government in its effort to encourage women's participation in politics, business and policy from grassroots levels. She says that the global representation of women remains at 4% and in private sectors in Kenya at only 22%.
The global representation of women remains only at 4%. In Kenya, in the private sector, only 22% of women occupy leadership positions. Middle management, we are not so good, but in board positions, we actually have achieved 32% vis-a-vis a global average of women on boards of 23. So having women in all sectors of leadership, especially at the top, will ensure that we are representing and can influence policy and legislation to protect, develop, and empower more women while creating an enabling environment in which to do our businesses.
Ms. Carol Kariuki, the Chief Executive Officer of KEPSA, in her remarks noted that Martha Karua's nomination as a presidential running mate is of historic importance, and it is the main reason for celebrating Karua.
But let me tell you, this nomination is of historic importance. And why? Qualitatively different. It's the first recognition by a major political coalition with a realistic chance of winning the presidency.
Martha Karua said that Kenya is looking for good leadership and define politics as an art of living, adding that politics will determine the socio-political and economic environment. Mutweri Eliud for KU TV.
Elsewhere, Kenyatta University aerospace students have today been exposed to some of the industry players at a workshop meant to help them have a clear vision of the path they want to follow in the aeronautical space. The theme of the workshop is advancing aerospace engineering career opportunities and promoting aerospace engineering awareness in Kenya.
Kenyatta University aerospace engineering students have today been introduced to some of the industry players in matters aerospace technology at the university during the Aerospace Career Fair organized by the university's Aerospace Students Association. The event, whose theme is advancing aerospace engineering career opportunities and promoting aerospace engineering awareness in Kenya, brought together some pioneers in the field to talk about career possibilities for the Kenyatta University students. The university is one of 2 universities in the country that offer the course and prides itself of having over 30 graduates who are serving in different sectors of the field. Chairman and course patron Aerospace and Aeronautical Engineering at Kenyatta University, Dr. Victor Mongera, says the university has been working with different stakeholders in the field to better the quality of training for their students.
Kenyatta University, through the department, has also worked to integrate the students in a lot of our research projects. One of the projects that was recently launched is the development and design of a spaceport in Kenya, looking at the viability of whether it's possible to launch rockets in Kenya. And the report actually came out and said very clearly and very strongly that not only is this possible, but we actually identified a site in Marsabit.
Kenyatta University prides itself in creating the first ever student-championed and engineered nano-satellite under the Kenya Space Agency.
This project actually resulted in KU being one of the top 4 universities that was picked for further funding, and a group of students who were earmarked to be able to carry out now a 3U nano-satellite development project that is currently ongoing.
The event saw students get information about drone technology, which is a new technology in aerospace, and learn how the technology can be used to solve some of the everyday human being problems. Kenya Flying Labs, one of Kenyatta University's partners, got to showcase some of their services and trainings.
So the steps that Kenya Flying Labs has taken in advancing space technology in Kenya, we do a lot of workshops like this. First of all, let's just start there. We go to schools, we go to companies, organizations that are interested in implementing the drone technology in their networks.
The issue of gender imbalance in the STEM subjects was a topic of discussion, with girls being encouraged to enter into the field and mentor others despite the challenges relative to the girl child.
Today's event was amazing, just meeting different people from different fields, just being able to come together and kind of inspire young students in regard to aerospace and aerospace engineering and sectors where they can be absorbed. That's an amazing thing.
Besides the everyday classwork, the aerospace engineering students got to understand how to apply what they learn in the everyday operations in the field, and also the workshop was meant to help them have clarity of the path they wish to follow in the aerospace technology. Samson Jura, KU TV.
To matters politics, Deputy President William Ruto has led the Kenya Kwanza coalition campaigns in various parts of Nairobi, where he has promised to solve problems in key sectors of the economy. Ruto and his fellow leaders have also drummed up support for various leaders vying for political seats via the UDA ticket in Nairobi.
Kenya Kwanza coalition presidential flag bearer Dr. William Ruto led the coalition's campaigns in Kamulu, Ruai and Utawala areas of Nairobi County, where he promised to solve health, housing and agricultural problems, besides high cost of living in the event he is elected president in the August polls.
Sisi tumekubaliana ya kwamba tutasaidiana na wale wanajenga manyumba Nairobi. Tuwasaidie ili wajenge nyumba, badala ya wewe mwananchi kulipa rent ya 8,000 kila siku, utalipa mortgage ya 8,000. Baada ya miaka 10 ama miaka 15 nyumba inakuwa yako. Hakuna haja ya wewe kupanga nyumba miaka yote.
Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi and his Ford Kenya counterpart Moses Wetangula echoed Ruto's sentiments on the high cost of living and urged Nairobians to vote in their favor, as they would solve the problem in case the coalition clinches power after August.
Si nyinyi hapa chini mnafuliza wote na wote mko kwa CRB. Hebu nione yule ambaye hayuko kwa CRB, na yule yuko kwa CRB hebu inua mkono. Sasa mnazama, si ndio? Mnazama.
Kila Mkenya ako na shida ya madeni. Akiwa mama mboga akienda kwa Shylock anafinywa. Ukipata Fuliza unafinywa. Ndio tunawaomba tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8 mupige kura ya kubadilisha maisha yetu. Kura ya kuteremsha bei ya unga, kura ya kuteremsha bei ya mafuta, kura ya kuteremsha bei ya kila kitu.
Various leaders from the Kenya Kwanza Brigade have also drummed their support for Senator Sakaja, Senator Omanga and Bishop Margaret Wanjiru, who are all vying for various seats in Nairobi County on a UDA party ticket. Kenya Kwanza coalition continues holding campaigns in various parts of the country and have started a 3-day campaign in Nairobi County today, where they hope to lure more voters to vote for their candidates. Kevin Omondi, KOTV.
Well, with that report from Eliud Omondi, we're taking another break, but we're coming back with a conversation on monkeypox. It is a conversation you don't want to miss. Stay tuned.
It's that time of the month when you need to use sanitary towels. We want to dispose something, but maybe the bin is full, or even the bin is not there, and that's when now we decided to bring our minds together and work on that.
I serve as the technical guy. Now, when Mercy came to me, and now Mercy told me that this project that they are planning to work on, and they are planning to work on a smart sanitary bin. To me, it was such an awesome idea, and my heart was in it, so I was ready to work on it.
Things you know are right. Nothing worth the gain you attain by sudden. Don't you know that I still care for you? Me flip flop got me needing more and more of you. And me the one to catch you.
Far East, welcome to the empire. Far East, we call it find true love. You will see what your love has done for me.
This and that, you study. If you're not in class, you're in the field.
Najua students tunapenda kulala. What I do when I get broke.
If the money is not enough, we find some of us when tunaingia in betting.
Kuna challenges mingi.
Now we're here 4 years later about to graduate. What do I say?
Right, welcome back. We're glad that you're still keeping it KUTV Primetime News. Now, a little over a week ago, we had a conversation on monkeypox, and we got to find out that the cases are spreading, but not as fast as we maybe thought they could be spreading. And the guest who came to studio told us we did not need to worry. But now there is new information showing that gay couples are getting infected rather quickly. And now we are going to decipher, rather delve into the matter and find out what didn't we know then that we know now. And helping me to delve into that is Dr. William Songok, who's going to tell us what's new on monkeypox. Welcome to studio.
Thank you so much.
Kindly introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do first for a start.
Okay, sure. As you mentioned, my name is Dr. William Songok. I am a lecturer here at Kenyatta University, School of Medicine, Department of Medical Microbiology and Parasitology. I teach the second year medical students as well as the pharmacy students here at Kenyatta University.
Well, let's do a quick recap of what we had last time. As at last time we didn't have a definite medication, definite vaccine, and now we have new information, gay people. What is happening with the gay and bisexual people? Why is it that they are getting more infected than the other population?
So as you mentioned, these cases have been seen mostly among the gay communities, but the information that we have, nothing much has changed in terms of getting to figure out exactly why it's common among these individuals. And I think as a scientific community and as a world as a whole, is that lots of caution needs to be exercised whenever we are putting an identity to a particular group, saying that they tend to present with a particular symptoms, or they tend to present with a particular disease. And this dates back to, if you look historically, with the issue of HIV/AIDS when it came up. In fact, it used to be called the 4H. It was common among the heroin users, people from Haiti, and then hemophiliacs and homosexuals. In fact, it used to be called the gay-related disease. And this really took back the fight against HIV/AIDS because it led to stigmatization of these people, in that it was considered to be mostly a gay-related disease. But what is worrying about the trend that we're seeing with smallpox is that smallpox is normally not transmitted. It's not been shown, or at least the current research has not shown that it is sexually transmitted. But it's a little bit worrying that we're seeing a lot of these cases among the gay community. Monkeypox, among the gay community. So it's not really clear why this is common among them, which may indicate that probably the virus is changing on how it's transmitted so that it can stay relevant within the community. So there's still a lot of data that is being digged out there, and as we know, the transmission is through contact, and probably if you look at in terms of anatomy, when it comes to heterosexual versus homosexual, it's a little bit different. There's a lot of wear and tear on that end, and that can actually maybe perpetuate the transmission of the virus more. But at least I think we need to be careful so that we don't stigmatize these people, because if we do, then people will say that, do I have monkeypox? Does that, if they are gay community, so they will not come out, and this will really hinder the curbing of the virus spread.
At the time, over 13 days ago, we didn't know of a definite treatment or vaccine. Yeah. Do we have a vaccine as at now, and who is to be vaccinated and who's not?
Yeah, so currently the vaccine that is actually there is the one for smallpox. Because monkeypox and smallpox are kind of sisters. Like, if you get a vaccine against smallpox, you kind of get a protection against monkeypox. So there's that, spillover of the antibodies that can actually protect against monkeypox. So the vaccine that is there can actually do both. So those people who are vaccinated a while back, for instance, smallpox was here in the 80s, 90s, way back to 70s, that is when they did a lot of vaccination. And actually it's one of the only diseases that actually been eradicated. And it's been shown that individuals who got the smallpox vaccine they have like 85% protection against the monkeypox. So that is the group that is protected at the moment. And this vaccine, it's not often administered because of the side effects that it brings.
Do we have it in Kenya in the first
Do
place?
we have it in Kenya? Not the last time I checked. I think even the world as at large, there is a very short supply of the vaccine. Yeah.
So in terms of Kenyatta University going to host Africa Games, and understanding you're a lecturer here, how prepared are we, given that we're going to have international participants?
Sure. I think that, first of all, I'd like to really applaud the, intercollegiate African community for hosting, for allowing Kenyatta University to host this, African championship here. I just came out of the track there. They, seems that everything is in motion, and it's good that we are hosting it here. But, whenever guests come to, whatever place they come, at the end of the day, you want to make them happy, healthy, and to achieve what they came for. As well as when they're leaving, the host is also left in good condition. So given that we have these visitors coming to Kenyatta University, some of them will be coming from, it's all over Africa. And we even have coaches from Europe,
including
from United
those
States.
countries that have recorded the monkeypox cases.
Yeah, like in Nigeria 4 days ago, there was 21 cases of monkeypox that have been reported. So we have these guests coming in, and I think as a university, lots of caution need to be exercised in terms of really checking. Is a person showing with lymph node swelling? Do they have fever? Do they have chills? Do they have any lesions, like, that are broken out of their bodies? And if coaches just need to be told to watch out for these things. If any of these athletes show up with this, then they really need to be quarantined and to be put on isolation and maybe to start receiving treatment. And this is what was seen in Rio Olympics in 2016, in that we had an outbreak of Zika virus, which causes microcephaly. And it was a problem, how are we going to contain this? But the Olympics happened through thorough screening and taking caution. So I think if we throw it to the coaches and the university as a whole, lots of caution need to be exercised on that matter.
And we hope that they are quite prepared for that. Now, there's a lot of monkey things, and I think people are now trying to evade monkeys, thinking they are the only carriers. Which other animals are carriers of this particular virus that we can look out for?
Sure. This virus actually got its name because it was first detected on monkeys that eat crabs. So that is how in 1958, then 1958, then by 1970, it was discovered now in humans. So there's quite a number of plethora of this virus. Like you have the monkeypox, we have the smallpox, and then we have the chickenpox. So it was, as I mentioned, it was mostly detected in monkeys, but the carriers actually of this monkeypox that's currently spreading are the rodents, the small rodents, and the prairie dogs, also, and the squirrels have been shown to harbor these monkeypox viruses. So it shows that those people who came in contact with these animals have actually been the ones who have been infected and been able to transmit the virus to other areas. And what is worrisome now is that we are not seeing animals to human transmission. We are seeing human to human transmission, which is now scary because it has broken out of it is spilled over to the people now. So if I have it, you can get it, and then another person can get it. So you don't have to be in touch with the monkey.
Should we panic?
Should we panic? I think there's a lot of complacency that is coming with these. People are like, let's just, it will pass away, don't worry so much about it. But that's how it was when COVID started. I remember when COVID started, I remember just seeing some health officials going out there in the media and saying that we are ready, we are prepared, don't be worried.
That's
and
right.
it was not long before we were on our knees crying and saying, when is this going to, it's now a pandemic. So I think in as much as, it's not highly contagious as COVID is, I think caution need to be taken when it comes to monkeypox virus.
Now that you've mentioned we have a vaccine, probably we have modes of treatment which you will lightly touch on as you answer as what are the long-term effects of this infection?
So the long-term effects of this infection, the patients, first of all, when somebody gets infected, it takes about 3 weeks from the time of infection to when somebody shows symptoms. So what happens is that it normally starts with lesions on the head region, and then it begins spreading down to the soul. And what happened is that if you look at the smallpox lesions, it left people really scarred for life. Some of the patients actually got blind, and you can imagine somebody getting monkeypox, and then it's beauty is important, and you can just imagine somebody with full of lesions, and then
but now there is a makeup industry to catch up for that.
Absolutely, but it's it affects somebody's self-esteem, when you know that you got all these lesions on your face, and it being related with gay communities. Somebody will be like, so what is your sexual orientation? So, because I remember reading something on the newspaper recently, which somebody says that now that I have monkeypox, will somebody associate me with being homosexual? So I think the long-term effect when it comes is just, in terms of the aesthetic presentation of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think we'll wrap it there. Thank you so much for coming and for your insight on this matter.
Mm-hmm.
I think so many people are going to learn. Most importantly, they are going to exercise caution. Go get tested when you start experiencing those lesions. We take another break. We'll be back with a discussion on hypertension. Now, residents of Rioma's sub-location in Kisii County are in deep grief after their Assistant Chief Evans Ochiri was found dead near his office at 6:30 a.m. in the morning by school-going children who were rushing to attend their morning preps.
The body of Rioma Sublocation Assistant Chief Evans Ochiri was found lying near his office in the wee hours of today morning. Slain Assistant Chief had no visible serious physical injury. The blood was oozing from one of his eyes. According to the chief, Tom Monari, they are waiting for forensic investigations to ascertain the cause of his death.
Ilikuwa leo asubuhi around 6:30. Nilipopokea simu kutoka kwa mkaji mmoja akinielezea kuwa one of my son chief ambaye ni Evans Ochiri, son chief Rioma Sub-location, amepatikana kama amekufa, ni kama aliuawa karibu na ofisi yake. Mwili ulikuwa umelala hapo chini.
Sensi Ward member of the County Assembly Paul Langwenyi has called upon the national government through the police to tighten up security for the residents as well as for the national government representatives. He has also called for calmness in the area as the police probe into the matter to bring the perpetrators to book.
We are calling the national government, we are calling the Ministry of Interior. One is to protect the reminders of all those assistant chiefs and chiefs in this area because they are facing quite serious threats. Two, we are also calling the Ministry of Interior and the Special Crimes Unit to come around and investigate this matter.
The body of the 40-year-old was taken to Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital mortuary and is awaiting post-mortem. Rose Wanjiro, KUTV.
The Kenya Publishers Association has identified Nakuru County as the epicenter of Kenyan book piracy, a problem that the association claims is costing Kenyan publishers up to 40% of market share, with school textbooks being the biggest target.
The Kenya Publishers Association KPA has identified Nakuru County as the melting point of book piracy in Kenya, with school textbooks being the biggest target as they make up 90% of Kenya's book market. KPA chairman Mr. Kiarie Kamau, while speaking in Nakuru during the launch of Kenya Literature Bureau's Grade 4, 5 and 6 competency-based curriculum encyclopedia, expressed regret that illegal books flooding most parts of the country were creating a string of losses in the book supply chain. He also noted that pirated books compromise the quality of education due to errors and illegibility of text due to poor print.
One of the greatest challenges is what we call piracy, or the menace of counterfeit. This area of Nakuru is known for rampant piracy of books. There are some crooked people who take our books, replicate them very, very fast, and whereas we sell that book at, let's say, 200 shillings, they say we are able to offer that book at 100 shillings.
Kenya Literature Bureau Chief Executive Officer Dr. Victor Lomaria, who also graced the event, also noted that piracy was also hurting Kenya's knowledge base as it discourages authors. He also made a plea to the government to write to all schools, asking them to purchase books from stores that provide electronic tax receipts.
We want to tell our teachers that please let us not buy books from the corridors. We buy books from the recognized booksellers and bookshops within the town. And where you find somebody else selling books so cheaply, please inform us so that we can come very fast and assist the association. Because piracy kills creativity, development in this sector.
Rift Valley Regional Director of Education Jared Obiero, who also graced the event, affirmed that the public should open its collective eye when buying books and report any suspicious activities to government authorities. Eludo Bonyo, KUTV.
Well, as promised, we are coming with an interview on hypertension. What do you need to know? Our guest is already in studio. Be back in a break.
Kenyatta University will host over 2,000 student athletes from all over Africa for the 10th edition of the Federation of Sports University FASU Games from 6th to 10th June 2022 at the main campus of Thika Highway. Athletes will compete in athletics, soccer, badminton, karate, chess, handball, tennis, swimming, taekwondo, volleyball, and 5 demonstration sports. The soccer tournament will be used to qualify Africa's representative to the FISU University World Cup Soccer 2023 in Xinjiang, China. There will be a Vice-Chancellor Symposium on 2nd and 3rd June to discuss games under the theme, the role of university sports as a vehicle for institutional development. Come and catch all the actions at the Kenyatta University Sports Ground. Entrance is absolutely free.
Live Mitindo ya Kipwani on our KUTV Facebook page every Saturday, 4 p.m.
Kwa kweli ni muhimu sana mkulima kuelewa upandikizaji wa miche, uandaaji, mchakato mzima kabisa.
Hapa tunakuza mimea, iwe ya herbs, iwe ya vegetables na fruits.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Welcome back. Globally, an estimated 1.28 billion adults aged 30 to 79 years old have hypertension, and the prevalence is expected to increase to 29% by 2025. This is driven largely by increases in economically developing nations. The disease is a major cause of premature death worldwide, killing unsuspecting patients, and hence its name, the silent killer. But what causes it and how is it managed? Kevin Odwori is here to enlighten us on that matter. Let's just delve right into it. What is hypertension and why is it called the silent killer?
Okay, well, hypertension, I can define it for a layman, first of all, and for those who are, the medical students. For a layman, I will say hypertension is just high blood pressure. But again now, for somebody who has medical background will ask me, what is high blood pressure? So high blood pressure refers to the force of blood that is exerted on the walls of the arteries. Of course, we know the pumping mechanism of the heart. When the heart pumps, now that force that is released on the walls of the arteries. So when it's too high, then that's what we call the high blood pressure. Of course, high blood pressure is measured using different, it's a fraction. We have the systolic pressure and also the diastolic pressure, which is measured in millimeters per mercury. And also, of course, you would want to know what is systolic pressure. Systolic pressure is now when the heart contracts and now it now pumps blood to parts of the body. And now the diastolic pressure now is now when the heart now relaxes. Now it's filling the heart with blood for it to now start pumping.
We are talking about this pressure, Dr. Kevin, just to interrupt you. Why is it important for us to discuss this? What is the risk factor? Why do we need to know about it?
Yeah, I have to mention that it's important for us to talk about high blood pressure because it's a silent killer. First of all, because we had asked me about why is it called a silent killer. Many people are not really aware, that they have high blood pressure. Of course, according to the World Health Organization data, 42% of those who, 46% of those who have high blood pressure do not know that they have it. So that's why it's called a silent killer. And of course, you don't really feel pain. That you feeling like your lymph nodes are swollen or you have a toe that is hurting, and so it's important for us to talk about hypertension because first is a silent killer, and two, it's not a disease that you'd say that you'd feel something is wrong with yourself, and you'll only know that you have it when you are diagnosed by a professional doctor.
So you've really mentioned that there are no particular symptoms, but what causes the hypertension? What causes?
About the cause, when we're referring to hypertension is one of the NCDs. When we talk about NCDs, mostly we'll want to talk about risk factors because they're not really causes as such. But to answer your question, the risk factors for hypertension are many. One, we have being obese. If you are overweight, that will increase you are more likely to be hypertensive. And we will also talk about things like, those who are not working out, if you are living a sedentary lifestyle, that is also a risk factor to high blood pressure. We will also talk about people who maybe your family or family history. If in your family people have high blood pressure, there are chances that you are going to, also develop or maybe have high blood pressure. And also things like race. Of course, these are non-modifiable risk factors. Things like race. Researchers is that if you are of African descent, bad for you, you are more likely to develop hypertension than those who are of Caucasian or the white. Yeah.
So, okay, that is going to make some people afraid of that. You've attributed the high blood pressure to different categories, people with hypertension, different lifestyles. Is it to tell us we have different types of hypertension, and if there are, which are they?
Okay, there are primarily two types of hypertension. First, we'll talk about primary hypertension, or some other scholars will refer to it as essential hypertension. This hypertension, you develop it over, time. Like, there's not really a cause for this, or a risk factor. It's something that you just find yourself developing over the years. For example, those who are aged will develop primary hypertension. That comes with now the advancement in terms of age. But there's also secondary hypertension, which is basically been from underlying conditions. For example, if somebody has a condition like preeclampsia for pregnant women, it comes also with high blood pressure and also protein in the urine, and that is what will cause kidney disease. So basically the two are just secondary and primary. Of course, secondary, I've mentioned, is caused by underlying medical conditions.
Now, you've mentioned some preeclampsia and all those sorts, and that makes me curious to know, are there conditions that lead to hypertension to develop, and are there conditions that develop from hypertension?
Yeah, sure. There are conditions that, as a result of hypertension, somebody can develop chest pains, what others will refer to as angina. There are also complications like heart failure. There will also be blood vision. Of course, if you have hypertension, sometimes you'll start developing, red, what do you call it? Is it red or brown? We are colorblind. It's your vision start to be very blurred because of that hypertension. There are also people who develop kidney diseases because of just hypertension. You'd also feel, what do you call it, muscle tremors. Sometimes you sit there and you feel like your muscles are moving. Those are muscle tremors as a result of hypertension. But also there are conditions that lead to hypertension. Some are preeclampsia, which I've talked about, condition mostly in pregnant women. I'm passionate about, I want to talk about this preeclampsia because it's, my mom actually died of preeclampsia. So it's something that is, I would want to caution those who are pregnant or pregnant women to actually check for this, so that, because it's very life-threatening and also fatal.
You've only mentioned preeclampsia, not other. You've not mentioned some more conditions that could lead to hypertension to develop.
There also, because it's both a consequence and a cause. If you talk about even kidney disease, still
so it can also cause hypertension.
Can also cause hypertension.
All right. So who is more susceptible to the disease? Because you've mentioned some people grow into it. Can children have that disease?
Yeah,
and what happens? What causes it in children?
It's possible for even children to develop high blood pressure. Of course, you asked me about the risk factors. These risk factors cut across, and they're not selective in terms of, but there are those that are selective. If you look at age, which is non-modifiable, you can't modify that. Of course, if you taking alcohol, even if a child is taking alcohol, that is will predispose you to hypertension. So it cuts across. Even if we look at issues to do with stress can also lead to hypertension. Even kids can have stress, and that will also lead to them developing hypertension.
Yeah. All right, that is new for you. All right, moving on swiftly, how do you diagnose hypertension?
Yeah, high blood pressure can only be diagnosed if you get screened, of course, and you have to be your blood pressure have to be measured by a professional doctor, and we use the BP machine to screen for your blood pressure. And I of course hinted to this that when your blood pressure is 120/80. That is it's normal. That's pretty normal blood pressure. But if you have a blood pressure that is above 140 over 90, let's say, you are at risk or you are already developing hypertension. But if it is 180 over 120, then that is very severe and you need medical attention. So there's a range. If it's there's the upper limit for the systolic pressure, it's up to 139. Of course, that is millimeters per mercury. If it is for diastolic pressure, then it has to be around the 90, and it doesn't have to go up to what do we call it, 60 for the lower limit, and 120 for the upper limit. Yeah, so you have to be diagnosed on 2 different occasions. If I may take your blood pressure today, I can't say that you have blood pressure. That is not confirmatory. I have to again take it on a different day. Then if I confirm that it's still what I took the other day, then you have high blood pressure. So it has to be taken on different days.
Getting tested to actually confirm if they could be developing this condition. Sure. So what are some of those complications, worst possible case scenario of untreated hypertension?
Of course, we've mentioned, and you even mentioned when you started, that it's the #1 major cause of preventable diseases. And there are very many diseases, of course, that you can develop from this. First of all, it can be fatal, can lead to death, but can also lead to other conditions. Things like, I've even mentioned the kidney diseases, which you can also develop. I've mentioned even among pregnant women, it can lead to that preeclampsia. I've also mentioned for those who are living a sedentary lifestyle, it can also be a precursor to other conditions like heart disease, heart failure. Yeah, so there are a lot of cardiovascular diseases that can also come as a result of being hypertensive.
So even as we wind up, could you mention a few of the prevention methods someone should use in ensuring they don't fall prey to this particular silent killer?
Of course, this is pretty simple. For you to prevent hypertension, I will talk about doing exercise, of course, physical activity. And another way to prevent is to reduce your salt intake, because salt intake is also one of the risk factors for hypertension. And so you have to moderate your salt intake. We know how salt can lead to imbalance of what do we call it, electrolytes in your body. So reduce on salt intake, take fruits, and exercise regularly. There are many ways of preventing hypertension.
Well, we'll make sure they find you on your personal social media platforms, given that it's also the May measurement month for hypertension. You'll get educated. Make sure you reach out to those platforms where they give further information on this particular disease and how to manage yours, and how to know if it is at the worst case, and how you're going to curb that and bring it back to normal. We'll have you next time for low blood pressure, because I think there is also the opposite of it.
Yeah,
well, at that we take a break. We'll be back with more stories.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following on news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020-359-9054.
Lula.
Well, welcome back. Now, the Independent Police Oversight Authority, IPOA, is investigating the killing of 4 people allegedly executed by the General Service Unit officers in Masimba, Kajiado County. The unfortunate incident happened during a demonstration by the residents over the human-wildlife conflict that has claimed lives of 8 people in the last 3 months. IPOA says it will invoke the Section 7 of the IPOA Act, which mandates the authority to look into the deaths and injuries resulting from police actions and will make recommendations including prosecution upon proof of wrongdoing by the officers. That aside, Nature Kenya and an environmental organization, has partnered with Kenya Breweries Limited to plant over 30,000 trees in Kieni Forest as a way to conserve water towers. This comes days after President Uhuru Kenyatta launched an accelerated national tree growing campaign to combat challenges arising from climate change.
President Uhuru Kenyatta recently launched an accelerated national tree planting campaign where he stated that the bold actions taken by the government towards increasing Kenya's forest covers are bearing fruits.
And this fund seeks to help us secure approximately $45 million that will deliver over 1.2 billion high-quality seedlings, enact a robust, innovative forestry financing scheme, strengthen Kenya's forestry governance, and roll out a robust tree growing campaign that will enable us to meet our climate change action commitments as well as restore our water towers.
In efforts of conserving the environment, Nature Kenya, in partnership with Kenya Breweries Limited, have planted over 30,000 trees that have covered an area of 30 hectares in Kieni Forest. That is part of the Aberdare Forest Block. This is to ensure water levels are restored through conservation of water towers such as the Aberdare.
Today we are Kieni Forest, which is part of the Aberdare Forest Block, and we are here to take stock of the work that we have been doing with Kenya Breweries Limited, which is tree planting in the Kieni Forest. In our partnership, we have planted a total of over 30,000 trees, which covers an area of 30 hectares. And this is important because then part of our work is to ensure that we're restoring the water levels.
Gibson Moteta, the local empowerment program manager at Nature Kenya, stated that residents rely on the forest for their livelihood in form of water and production of food products.
The conservation work is very important, and therefore very important that, and again, can't be done by one individual or one organization. And it is therefore very important that it's not only Nature Kenya that works towards conservation of these resources. It calls upon various institutions, various corporate organizations, various individuals to come in so that we'll be able to have that synergy.
Hii program inaitwa Paris na napata mazao mengi, ingine ya kupatia watoto chakula na ingine tunauza, tukiwa wamama tunauza, tunaweka table banking. Kwa hivyo hii ukulima inatusaidia sana.
The chairperson of the Kieni Forest Community Association, Robert Mwangi, commended these efforts as the residents are benefiting from food security and better nutrition levels, as well as increased source of income from ecotourism.
The purpose was to conserve this forest because initially it was destroyed by foreigners. So many people came from Uganda in the early 1980s. They destroyed the forest. They started burning charcoal, pit sowing, and all such kind of activities, poaching. Then the community came together. We said, do the Forest Act now. That the community, as a community, we said that we are going to own our forest, and we chased away those people who we are destroying.
The World Environment Day is a celebration that is done every year on the 6th of June, and every citizen should strive to make the environment a better place. Gloria Njoroge, KUTV.
Straight into sports now. Thousands of Kenyans were today treated to a tantalizing motorsport show at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi. The event was for a motorsport show organized by Kenya Motorsport Federation to unveil the 2022 WRC Safari Rally. The rally veers off from June 23rd to 26th in Naivasha, with a shakedown set to June 22nd at KICC. The cars will be flagged off on the 23rd of June at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani in Nairobi. Among the rally legends who turned up was Carl Tundo, FIA Rally star Hamza Anwar and his uncle Azad Anwar. Motor dealers also grabbed the opportunity to flash out the machines to potential customers. It was a sad night for Equatorial Guinea as they clocked the 90th minute without scoring against Tunisia yesterday in raids. Tunisia, famously known as the Eagles, posed an explosive second half, sinking Guinea 4-0. Youssef scored 2 goals few minutes into the second half before Naim Sliti and Fajan Sassi scored 1 goal each. The Eagles are keen to qualify into the African Cup of Nations that is slated to kick off